Got my dillies on a pepper tank.
Why do you believe what you believe? At some point in your life, you trusted the information that somebody was giving you.
What is the formula for compensation, sir? Buzzards gotta eat, same as worms.
And this Chateau LeBlanc 68 is supposed to be served slightly chilled. This is room temperature.
All I want is to just have fun. Live my life like the son of a gun.
I'll stop you right there. I am Jewish.
There can be only one.
Diane ain't much of a living, boy.
I woke up this morning, didn't recognize the man in the mirror.
Welcome, and welcome back. May God be exalted throughout the heaven and earth. In God will I praise his word. In the Lord will I praise his word. In God have I put my trust. I will not be afraid what man can do unto me. But that doesn't mean that there aren't plenty of men out there trying to do things to us constantly, night and day. The people who are giving proud looks and speaking with lying tongues, the hands that shed innocent blood, an heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among the brethren. And it's really important to use our Christian discernment to recognize when these people are trying to do something to us like trick us. Let God be true, and every man a liar. God's people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So it's important for us to be able to recognize these Sabbatane Ziti Kabbalist Luciferians. And if you've been watching or listening, it should be very cliche by now. We should be able to tell by now exactly what these people are doing. Yes, there are some slight nuances from time to time, but it's literally the same thing over and over again. These people who set evil before us are far more unified than the Christian church. See, they all actually believe the same thing, and it's the same things that we see on movies, music, news, and TV. We all know what 33 means by now. That's no trick. That's not tricking us. But indeed, there are plenty of things that they do not want us to know while they talk to each other in front of us. And while these people are called the builders, they don't really build anything physical with their hands. They build psychological foundations. What they build is a mindset and way of thinking. And being a Christian is also a mindset and way of thinking. One can literally use Christianity and the Bible to figure things out. And if a person is not using spiritual-based discernment, which is vested in Scripture, they stand no chance of figuring out the truth in this world. None. If you don't have Jesus, you literally have nothing. And the weaker someone is spiritually, the more they will get attacked spiritually and not recognize it as spiritual. People tend to blame things on random chance and coincidence while issuing good luck to others. And that's just another reason why I go through hundreds and hundreds of videos and audios from around the internet and social media constantly like these.
New study on boxed macaroni and cheese. Researchers say they found chemicals called phthalates in all but one of the 30 products tested. They say phthalates can migrate into food when it's being processed or from packaging. Powdered cheese is a prime target because the chemicals bind with fat.
So it seems the people are finally stepping up to Kraft and other powdered cheese boxed macaroni. Doctors and experts claim the powder cheese pack contain concentrations of the chemicals known as phthalates. Sadly, phthalates can be found in our everyday items: plastics, toys, soap, shampoos, glues, vinyl, etc. Now in the food, mac and cheese, our kids' favorite. Not only does phthalates cause birth defects, Studies find it can increase cancer risk in kids and harm brain development.
Doctors say the chemical can disrupt hormones and affect brain development.
Doesn't it look more and more every day like our food supplies and food sources from these large corporations are just part of the eugenics program to reduce the world population? Many of these chemicals cause cancer, and that is easily understandable. The deeper and more meaningful evil behind this for the enemy is that cancer was manufactured. It was man-made. Cancer didn't naturally exist anywhere before 1912. So it's not by accident, it's on purpose. These companies don't spend millions and millions of dollars marketing and making a product unless they know exactly what it's going to do. They know exactly how it's going to taste, and they know exactly what is inside the food they're giving us. Stay away from the appeal spray being used on vegetables and fruits. It looks shiny on the outside. On the inside, it's old and rotten. The appeal will literally do horrible things to your body. Also, some very large company can sell more of a bad product that hurts people.
This is the man pansy. Now, this was released on the dark web a while ago. And it was produced in Japan. It couldn't be made in the United States because it was against the law. So the scientists went to Japan where they could do this, and it is actually a hybrid human ape. I know it looks like something that would be on Planet of the Apes, but this is real. I believe the name was Steven that they gave it. Now, nobody knows the whereabouts of Steven, the hybrid, or if he's still alive. But this was put out quite some time ago, and there's been scuttlebutt in the science community for years.
Oh, wow. Another chimera on the dark web. I wonder how many of those there are. And this person was trying to legitimize it by acting like it had been out for a very long time. Hybrid chimeras and humans are nothing new. As a matter of fact, the fallen angels did that like first thing out of the gate. But it's important to remember within this narrative that if something is not 100% human, it is not human. 99.9% human is not human. A mouse has 85% the exact same DNA as a human does. And it's just another Mason trying to twist and turn and alter the image of God. We are made in his image. Monkeys are not made in his image. Fallen angels are not made in his image. And the fallen angels can get as mad as they want while being reserved in blackness and darkness for the last days, where they will do God's will, not their own. They work for God. The devil works for God. He thinks it's this big battle, but he's just doing God's will. He does evil. He does evil to people that are evil. God made hell. God made the devil. God made the fallen angels. God made us. And God made all creation, which we groaneth and travaileth together. The Bible even literally says we will be given the morning star. We will be given the devil to judge. Praise God with the high notes.
Transmission systems.
That's right. That's right. It's in outside of Tromsø, the biggest harp type of thing, part of ASCAT system. The system going from Svalbard, Tromsø, Kiruna in Sweden has the headquarters of the whole system, and then in Lapland, in Finnish Lapland, in Sorakula. And, you know, when they blast electromagnetic fields, it goes through all of Europe.
And do you think that's a form of mind control?
Oh, it can be used for mind control, of course, like harp. And that is the danger, because people know nothing about mind control. They don't know that your thoughts can be changed, your attitudes, your feelings. If you love somebody sitting at a computer, even through satellites, can say, okay, let's make it opposite. And you start just detesting the person who you love. You can't be in the same room, you know, you feel uncomfortable. I think this is terrible, because you're making people into biological robots.
Now, I really like what this lady was saying, and I believe what she's saying is true. I believe that we're all under a trauma-based frequency mind control, and that if you are not infilled with the Holy Spirit by belief in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you better do it now before it's too late. But I will say this, you may have one other chance after you die, and when you do see him after you die, make sure you go with him and don't go towards the darkness. I've heard many rumors that when Anton LaVey, who was the head of the Church of Satan, when he passed, that he said, "Oh no, something is terribly wrong. Something's wrong. Oh my God, please forgive me. Please help me." And that's the thing, is these Satanists know that God is real. But if you pepper them with some good questioning about their beliefs, they will act like they are atheists. Then if you're at a party with them and you're working the room socially, you will hear them try to recruit other people. When their flimsy doctrine doesn't hold up, they always default to they don't believe in God or the devil. These people take pride in mischief and how tricky they are. It's not until they get much older that some of them realize they are not tricking anyone but themselves.
Throwing a stick, we heard about the coming across the street. I figured it was a bunch of locusts or bugs, I don't know, June bugs or something. They flew over our head probably 7-8 feet. One of them hit the pole, and you could hear it on the ground. I thought it was one of those katydid things. But you tell me, why in the heck would this right here be flying around? Somebody please explain to me what that is. And I found out, as I was picking it up, if you squeeze that on the end on each end, then it's going to do it one time, then I guess it shuts it off. So somebody, for the love of God, please tell me what that is. What the hell? Stop it.
What this man has found is a bug drone developed by the U.S. Air Force and intelligence communities. What the Air Force usually does is fly over the top of a very large city with these bug drones and drops out at this size anywhere from 20 to 50,000, and at the mosquito-sized bug drone somewhere around 500,000, and at times for very large cities 1 million. What these bug drones do is filter any information coming from ground and going into the air. It creates a small linked net over the top of a large city and intakes all of the information coming in or trying to go out. This locust variety beeps if you squeeze both the head and tail at the same time. When it beeps, it is telling you the internal battery is good to go and that it is in proper working function.
And it's called C40 Cities. I would urge you to certainly look on the internet about it and then go to all of the TikTokers and see what they're really saying. Basically, you won't be able to drive a petrol or diesel car anymore. You'll have to buy electric. If you want food, you will get a calorie-controlled system sent to you by text saying, this is what you can eat today. This is what you can have today. If you violate any of these things, they'll freeze your bank account. That is the next step. These are stages in which they're going to implement this stuff. And this was signed up by the WEF, and the WEF has signed up with our mayor in London as the chair. And he has gone around the world to communicate this C40 to all of the countries in the world. And most of the countries are looking at adopting it. Now, I am going to abolish it. It is a hopeless position. We are going to be in an open prison, or shall we say a COVID, for the rest of our lives. We will not be able to work unless it's in our 15-minute city. It's diabolical. It's not right. This is not the right thing. And it's been hidden from the public. No one's talking about it. The 15-minute cities is something that the WEF has created called C40.
Yes, they will be herding people into these 15-minute smart cities, and the rest of us will be on the outskirts of town. And they would have us fighting over food, but it's come time that people really need to be able to provide and grow their own food. And as far as regulating it, it would just be a good idea to ask and talk to the Amish about that, because the government certainly seems to be going after them. And they don't really get a lot of diabetes or cancer in the Amish community or the Mennonite community. And as far as regulating things like that, I mean, we just saw what the FDA did. Matter of fact, I think everybody in the world saw that. But that's not really a topic that can be openly discussed on here. Nothing to see here. Move along. These aren't the droids you're looking for. It's a little risky, but I'm going to try it, and I think everybody will know what I'm talking about.
Deployed, and some were far more deadlier than others. According to the Moderna patent, this technology contains self-assembled nanoparticles, and in certain variations, these nanoparticles can be used for the controlled release of compounds once they are in the human body. These lipid nanoparticles are encapsulated into a polymer hydrogel, a controlled release coating that includes polyvinyls. This has been verified by Anna Mielchia and Clifford Carnicom's research. In a 2013 TED-Med talk, Dr. Ido Bachelet says that these nanorobots have already 248-page patent for the technology that was administered to people in the show. Was filed in 2020. The patent lists several embodiments or variations of this technology. And while we don't know who got what embodiment, we know that several different batch numbers were deployed, and some were far more deadlier than others.
One thing is for sure, that they are far more deadlier. All joking aside, that topic's been beaten to death and everybody knows now. And if they don't know, then it won't be long.
Well, I'm glad we all learned something today, kids. Now let's dance!
America once looked like ancient Greece, and why was it all destroyed? Why were cities entirely covered in several feet of mud? Was there a recent flood? And why does this mountain look like a person? We are fully investigating the historical nonsense we've been force-fed. We want to know who really built these cathedrals, because if those structures were built with hammers and chisels, it's time we go back to hammers and chisels. We all know people before the 19th century of horse and buggy could knock out this construction in just a few weeks. They chiseled away as stone and marble to create these palaces that last forever, unlike anything we build today. Some schooling and boom, you and your jack-of-all-trade pals got the skills to handcraft French Renaissance buildings. And just look at this, people of horses and wagons roaming these dirt streets. How could they be so technologically advanced they still have dirt roads? Would the roads not be the first step of the construction process? Alright, I hate to break it to you, but the historical narrative is a lie. We did not construct these buildings were already here. These are all from a much more advanced past civilization. Once you get it, you don't go back to not getting it. You can see it all very clearly in nearly every major city in the world. Once you know the truth, you can't go back.
This is from a poster called Dr. Claw 85 on Instagram, and to expound on what he was saying, people hate the truth, and they love the lies. Obviously, the people who set up our education system did not have our best interests in mind. They weren't thinking things like, oh, let's help these people out and make sure they're really smart. This is from 2 Thessalonians 2:11 through 2:12. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusions, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. We are hearing Paul the Apostle write to the Thessalonians that God is saying, if you believe upon a lie, you are damned. And it's important because the Apostle Paul was entrusted with the gospel of Jesus. God will take and convert anybody that he wants to do his will. Saul was going around persecuting the church and killing Christians, and he said so much so that he gained above others, who were also Pharisees. Paul is literally so smart that he confuses some people. I've heard some pastors recently in big mega churches talk about Paul the Apostle driving people away from God and away from Jesus and away from the gospel of Jesus because he's so confusing. Not that they didn't leave out the passage before and the passage after of what they were saying and took it completely out of context. If we take the Bible out of context and don't read the passages before and after and the whole book, we can make it say just about anything that we want. And these preachers of the prosperity gospel will use everything but the Bible to justify what they're preaching. There's a guy on YouTube named Mike, and in parentheses beside his name it says Joyful Exile. I highly suggest everybody takes a look at his list of corrupt pastors. In my opinion, every single one of them are Masons. And it's important to remember that Masons are just a recruiting ground for the more secret societies, like the Ordo Templis Orientis. Only a few select higher-level 32nd and 33rd degree Masons get into that one. And if you'd like to learn about that one, let's have a listen at what Bill Cooper says. Milton William Cooper.
There are degrees within the Templar degree. There are degrees and degrees within degrees, and circles within circles, and secrets within secrets. The OTO was founded in 1895 by the Austrian Freemason Karl Kellner. Freemason Theodor Russ became its leader after Kellner's death. Russ started a magazine called the Oriflame in 1902 with the help of Freemason Franz Hartmann. A 1912 Jubilee edition of the magazine revealed information about what the OTO activities really were. Quote, "Our order possesses the key which opens up all Masonic and Hermetic secrets, namely the teaching of sexual magic, and this teaching explains without exception all the secrets of nature and the symbolism of Freemasonry and all systems of religion," end quote. In 1912, while holding the rank of 33rd degree Mason, Alheister Crawley became the head of the British OTO. The teachings and the practices of the OTO were amazingly disgusting. Here's a very brief description of their degrees. Listen carefully. Quote, "Today's literature about sex magic relies heavily on practices which were already common in the OTO, or in its later development by Alheister Crawley. The division is as follows. 8th degree OTO is autoerotic practice. 9th degree OTO is heteroerotic practice. The 11th degree OTO is homoerotic practice. This is the traditional sex magic practice as performed under Crawley. Frater, U period, D period, Secrets of the German Sex Magicians, St. Paul, Minnesota, Llewellyn Publications, 1991, page 138. Also, 33rd degree Alheister Crawley proudly called his cult of the OTO true Freemasonry. He said, "I claim for my system that it satisfies all possible requirements of true Freemasonry. It offers a rational basis for universal brotherhood and for universal religion," end quote. Now, how close is this connection between Freemasonry and the OTO? Well, Masonic historian, Francis King, reveals a closer connection than most Freemasons would ever dare to admit, and I am sure that they are cringing right now, knowing that I am going to reveal it. Here's what Masonic historian Francis King says, quote, "For the OTO not only had, as we shall see, connections with spurious and clandestine Masonic groups, but functioned as a recruiting office for one of these, for in the classification of members by degrees appended to Russ's document is clearly stated that, quote, candidates are made Freemasons by the directing members, fratres superiores of the OTO, end quote. Francis King, The Secret Rituals of the OTO, New York, New York, Samuel Weiser, 1973, page 13. The fact that Crawley was the head of the OTO while holding the rank of 33rd degree Freemason should forever explode the myth that Freemasonry is a Christian organization. Crawley spoke openly and candidly about his Masonic honors. Quote, "This view was confirmed when the arcane schools of John Yarker came to me for review. I wrote to the author, who recognized my title to the 33rd degree and conferred on me the grades of 95 degree Memphis and the 90 degree Mizraim. It seemed as if I had somehow turned a tap. From this time on, I lived in a perfect shower of diplomas, from Bucharest to Salt Lake City. I possess more exalted titles than I have ever been able to count. I am supposed to know more secret signs, tokens, passwords, grand words, grips, and so on than I could actually learn in a dozen lives. An elephant would break down under the insignia I am entitled to wear." End quote. You will find that in John Simons and Kenneth Grant, The Confessions of Alheister Crawley, New York, Bantam Books, 1971, on page 684. You see, folks, they cannot wiggle out from under, ye accuse. In their own words, ye accuse. In the Confessions of Alheister Crawley, Crawley spoke with great admiration about the Royal Ark degree. Quote, I supposed myself to have reached the summit of success when I restored the secret word of the Royal Ark. In this case, tradition had preserved the word almost intact, end quote. It is perfectly understandable that this hatred of Christianity, or this hater of Christianity, would love the Royal Ark degree of Freemasonry. You see, in this degree, Freemasons blaspheme the God of the Bible by uniting God's name with pagan gods. It would drive an Orthodox Jew right up the wall. The secret word of the Royal Ark that Crawley is referring to is Yah-Bulan. The Yah represents Jehovah, Bul represents the pagan god Baal, and On represents the Egyptian god of the sun. So it's no wonder Crowley's satanic heart jumped for joy when he was able to blaspheme the God of the Bible by uniting the true God of the Bible with the pagan god Baal, to whom human children were sacrificed. The Bible tells us, quote, they have also built the high places of Baal, to burn their sons with fire for burnt offerings to Baal, which I did not command or speak, nor did it come into my mind, end quote. The meaning, ladies and gentlemen, of the secret word in the Royal Ark degree is confirmed by an excellent authority. Can't get any better than this. It's the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry by Albert G. Mackey. Baal signifies Lord or Master and occurs several times in the Bible as a part of the names of various gods. Alone, the word applies to the sun god, the supreme male deity of the Syro-Phoenician nations. For an account of his worship, read 1 Kings chapter 18. With Yah and On, it has been introduced into the Royal Ark system as a representative of the Tetragrammaton. Tetragrammaton. The OTO describes itself as an organization that is dedicated to follow the doctrine of Crowley. The Ordo Templis Orientis, or OTO, is an initiate body, or initiatic body, I should say, composed of men and women who have accepted the principles of the Book of the Law, which was transmitted, he claims, through Alheister Crawley by some spirit master. Quote, the book is conceived to be a perfect transmission of the divine, freed from any defects of human interference. As such, it is a luminous vehicle of truth that can serve as an infallible guide to human conduct. Alheister Crawley will at least be remembered as the greatest occult genius of the 20th century. His influence on modern occultism is incalculable, penetrating every Western school. Arminius, editor, Alheister Crawley, the Master Therion, the Equinox Publishing Company, 1990, Volume 3, number 10:87. Any organization, ladies and gentlemen, that follows the teachings of Crawley must be taken very seriously. Listen to me. You have a habit of dismissing these things as not being important and not worthy of the study of intelligent, reasonable men and women. You're wrong. The following quotes are from the Book of the Law that the OTO endorsed as a perfect transmission of the divine and luminous vehicle of truth that can serve as an infallible guide to human conduct. Quote, worship with me with fire and blood, Worship me with swords and with spears. Let the women be girt with a sword before me. Let blood flow to my name. Trample down the heathen. Be upon them, O warrior. I will give you petrovenal of their flesh to eat. Sacrifice cattle, little and big, after a child. The best blood is of the moon monthly. Then the fresh blood of a child are dropping from the host of heaven, then of enemies, then of priests, are of the worshippers. Last of some beast, no matter what. With my hawk's head I peck at the eyes of Jesus as he hangs upon the cross. There is no law beyond, do what thou wilt. The Equinox, Volume 3, number 10:39, pages 40, 42, 43. The following quotes from Crowley's Magic in Theory and Practice will further prove what should be our concern. Quote, for the highest spiritual working, one must accordingly choose that victim which contains the greatest and purest force. A male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most satisfactory and suitable victim. But the bloody sacrifice, though more dangerous, is more efficacious, and for nearly all purposes, human sacrifice is the best. In the sacrifice during invocation, however, it may be said without fear of contradiction that the death of the victim should coincide with the supreme invocation. Alheister Crawley, Magic in Theory and Practice, New York, New York, Magical Child Publishing, Incorporated, 1990, pages 95 and 96. Notice the name of the publishing company, Magical Child, spelled M-A-G-I-C-K-A-L and C-H-I-L-D-E. Now, as we continue to look at Freemasonry and the occult, we need to look at another secret order that has networked with Freemasonry for many years, the Rosicrucian Society, or the ancient order of Rosicruci. Much could be written about the various Rosicrucian orders and their relationship to the Lodge, but for the purpose of our examination tonight, we're just going to mention only one, the Rosicruciana in Anglia. One had to be at least a master mason just to belong to this organization. And it is of particular interest because the members of this secret order gave birth to yet another secret society called, and you've heard about this secret society from me on many previous broadcasts, the Golden Dawn. In some respects, Westcott's Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was a byproduct of his connection with a Masonic Rosicrucian fraternity called the Rosicrucian Society of England, also known as the Societas Rosicruciana in Anglia, or more familiarly as the Society of the Rose, R, capital S-O-C, period, capital R-O-S, period, and if you see that after anyone's signature, they are a member. Membership was and is confined to Master Masons. It was not a Masonic lodge, but an esoteric society made up solely and strictly of Freemasons who were interested in occultism, the Kabbalah in particular, and Masonic symbolism. All three of the original founders of the Golden Dawn were Freemasons: Dr. William Wynne Westcott, Dr. William Woodman, and S.L. McGregor Mathers. And as we shall see, ladies and gentlemen, the ties between the Golden Dawn and the Masonic Lodge go much deeper than the fact that all were Freemasons, although that's enough. Dr. William Wynne Westcott's interests were occultism and Freemasonry. In order to practice ritual magic, he established an occult secret society called the Golden Dawn in London in 1888. Since its founding, it has been one of the most secretive and influential of all occult orders. Madame Blavatsky was so excited about the existence of the Golden Dawn that she made an intriguing announcement calling the order the Hermetic students of the G period, D period in the outer. In the June 1889 issue of her theosophical periodical Lucifer, world-renowned witches Janet and Stuart Farrar, and I'm not calling them witches to be mean, they were self-confessed witches. Janet and Stuart Farrar, authors of A Witch's Bible Complete, give credit to the Freemasons of the Golden Dawn for the modern cult explosion that we are experiencing today. Here's what they say, quote, "It is generally agreed that the biggest single influence in the modern expansion of ritual magic and the occult explosion in general in the Western world was the Golden Dawn. This magical fraternity, founded by Freemasons at the end of the 19th century, developed a complex ritual system with 10 degrees of initiation relating to the Kabbalistic Sephiroth, or Sephiroth, depending upon how you want to pronounce it. Janet Farrar and Stuart Farrar, The Life and Times of a Modern Witch, Custer, Washington, Phoenix Publishing Company, 1988, page 121. And as we continue our examination, we will see that these witches were extremely correct, ladies and gentlemen. They were extremely correct with all of those statements. Dr. William Robert Woodman, an eminent Freemason, was also one of the original founders that worked very hard to establish the Golden Dawn. He was a member of the Society of the Rose, Anglia. He also was a Hebrew scholar, and he was a student of the Kabbalah, and also wrote many occult manuscripts. All of this is re-emerging today, and you'll find in Los Angeles, California, one of the greatest re-emergences and followings of Kabbalistic study that you'd ever dream could possibly happen. William Wynne Westcott was a London coroner who was forced to choose between his job and the Golden Dawn when the public became aware of his occult activities. Westcott chose to resign as head of the Golden Dawn, at least visibly in the public eye. Westcott translated the Sefer Yetzirah, a Kabbalistic text, and also wrote a book titled The Magical Mason. This Golden Dawn founder belonged to a truly impressive list of occult organizations, which gives us at least an idea of how these occult organizations network. And boy, do they network. Westcott, an English Freemason, appointed Junior Grand Deacon to the Grand Lodge of England in 1902, and the head of the Societas Rosicruciana in Anglia and Golden Dawn, was also the secretary of the Rite of Swedenborg, Knight Kadash in ancient and accepted Scottish rites, Grand Standard Bearer, Royal Ark, Grand Lodge of England, and Regent of the Illuminati, and was on intimate terms with one of its founders, the German Theodor Reuss, 33rd, 90th, and 96th degrees. Westcott also worked closely with Theodor Reuss, the head of the OTO. Since their early existence, ladies and gentlemen, the OTO and the Golden Dawn have maintained very close ties. The father of modern Satanism, Alheister Crawley, was a member, you see, of both organizations. We will continue this. In the meantime, study what you've just heard.
That's right, Bill. That's right. And these people are also international socialists who launched their United States Luciferian New World Order agenda in 1776 on May 1st. Their symbol is a red rose with a handshake in front of it, signifying unity. May 1st is called May Day because of this, and not because of anything else. And so from now on, please take note of whatever you're watching. If it happens to be a TV show or or a movie, look at the characters and see if you can find the red rose, and after that, look and see if that person is wearing black and white. I apologize for all the TV shows I've probably ruined, because many of the actors are in on it, and they are international socialists. That's why you hear them saying the same thing over and over and over again for years now. No, I'm not going to try to top Bill Cooper by adding something after that. So I greatly appreciate you all tuning in, and God bless you. I'll see you next time.